to this important information session on IESW Bridging Program. This program has been pivotal in obtaining a stable professional career for many of our MASWO members. We continuously encourage our members to complete this program for a smooth transition into the Canadian social work practice field. The coordinators of this program continue to support us even after we complete this program. MASWO strongly believes that bridging is an ongoing process in our professional journey towards fullness. MASWO and IESW program have a common goal to support internationally educated social workers to be successful in Canada. MASWO is a large, inclusive pool of professional resources that provide ongoing hand-holding for all immigrant social workers who speak multiple languages. We are just a phone call away. A hearty welcome to IESW Program Coordinator Tej to this session. Tej has been instrumental in many of our lives in taking right decision in our career. We appreciate Tej for taking your valuable time to do this session. This session is moderated by Anjali Danesh. Ms. Anjali is a registered social worker who recently graduated from IESW Bridging Program. Currently, she is a settlement worker with immigrants and refugees. She'll be joining soon as a care coordinator in a full-time position with Home and Community Care Services, Toronto. Over to you, Anjali.
Thank you, Kusum. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and safe. I'm Anjali. I will be moderating the session. Before we begin, please note today's session is being recorded for the purpose for future learning and professional development. Recording available on our social media platform. Kindly keep your audio on mute. This will be help to limit background noise. If you have any question for the presenters, please submit your questions in the chat box. So before we start, I would like to give an idea about what today's session look like. So let's see the agenda first. So first we have land acknowledgement by Renu Paul, presentation on IESW Bridging Program by Tej Vadwa. She is the program manager for IESW Bridging Program. Experience sharing by Needu Babu. Finally, we have a Q&A session. I will try to answer all of your questions in the Q&A session. So, okay, let's move to the session. First, we have land acknowledgement. I invite Renu Paul for the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Anjali. Land acknowledgement. In the spirit and intent of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendation, we acknowledge the traditional indigenous territories on which we gather at the beginning of all MASWO meetings. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, Métis, and the Mississaugas of the Scugog, Hiawatha, and Alderweil First Nation. By learning, understanding, and acknowledging, we wish to pay respect to Turtle Island, Mother Earth, and to the rich Indigenous history of Ontario. Back to you, Anjali.
Thank you, Renu. So next we have moving to our main session. So as an IESW graduate, I am honored to introduce our presenter, Tej Vadwa, who is the program manager for the Chang School's Internationally Educated Social Work Professional Bridging Program. Tej is committed to creating access employment for immigrant professionals. Tej immigrated to Canada with master's degree in social work and human resource management. Through her 12 years of work experience in both profit and non-profit sector, she has consistently strived with equity and fairness. I humbly request Tej to facilitate the session. So over to you, Tej. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anjali and Renu and all of you who are organizing. First of all, MASWO, thank you very much. You guys are doing an outstanding job. And some of our graduates who are very active in this network, I find it amazing. This is what we had hoped for when you came and did our program, that you would take it further, and you have. So thank you for all the work you do. I also have a small PowerPoint presentation, which I would go through. I'm noticing some names that look very familiar. I'm hoping some of you are graduates, and some of you did say hi to me in the chat box. So welcome. It's your cameras are off. It would be lovely to see some of the faces. I like to see human beings. So it's like if you can all have it on the camera, that would be excellent. If you feel comfortable, of course. But I'll start my presentation with you. Just in 1 second while I get that organized. Do we know if everybody is, and maybe this can be polled, Alan, where we can know who is in the room? Are they all people with social work degrees?
Yes. Yeah, we have most of them are social work graduates. There are new social workers who arrived recently, and also some people are joining from back home and some other countries as well.
That's great. And it's wonderful when I hear they're joining from overseas, because that means they're thinking of their careers before they come and are getting some advanced support and information. That's always excellent. Takes a little bit of anxiety out of the way. As we move to a new country, we are trying to settle our families, we're trying to get into our professions, and it is complex. No matter what we say, it is complex to come and settle into another part of the world. I'm going to start with my presentation. I would have liked, and it is a small enough room, and this is a question for you, Alan. Do you think we have time for a quick introductions, or should we just move ahead?
We have.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, let's do. We can do a quick introduction quickly.
Okay.
So saving time. My name is Alan. I'm a social worker working in Toronto with Loft Community Services. I'm executive committee member of MASFO. Nice meeting you all. Thank you.
I am Kusumam John. I am an alumna of IESW program. I work as a social worker. I mean, at the CMHA.
Anjali, you want to go?
Yeah, hi all, I'm Anjali. I'm also recently graduated from IESW, June 2021. So currently I'm working with settlement and immigration, and recently I got a position in Toronto Central Home and Community Care Support Service. Thank you.
Since I see people, I can call, so there's no confusion. So Renu, Paul?
Hi, I am Renu. I work as a shelter worker right now, but I'm planning on joining IESW this year. Yeah.
Charles Thomas?
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Charles Thomas. As Alan mentioned, I am one of the executive members of MASO. I work for Peel Children's Aid. Thank you.
Neetu Babu?
Hi, everyone. My name is Neetu, and I work as a child protection worker with CASD. I'm also alumni of IESW program. Thank you.
Kuriakos, MV?
Hey everyone, my name is Kuriakos. I recently got my registration and looking forward for working in social work.
Arun Balakrishnan?
Hi Tej, hi everybody. My name is Arun. I'm a 2014 batch of IESW. Right now I'm working with CAS Toronto.
Anto Baby?
Hello everyone, I'm Anto. I'm currently a student as an international student. I'm here in Canada. So yeah, I haven't registered for IESW right now. So for my future references, I am attending the meeting.
Thanks.
I'd love to know more about that. So
thank you, Anto. Abhilesh Thomas?
I did my IESW in 2018. My name is Abhilesh Thomas. Hi, Tej. So I work with the Toronto South Detention Center as a social worker, and I did my placement with Kusmo after my IESW.
Thank you, Abhilesh. And go ahead. Okay, Jose Gonzalez. Jose Gonzalez. Okay, Verghese Jacob.
Good morning to Tej and everyone attending the program. I'm Verghese Jacob here. I am a 2020 pass out from IESW and a huge fan of Tej and the course. And I'm thankful for Tej to coming down today and sharing her experiences. I look forward to know what are the new things, what new strategies or the new course material, whichever this program is coming up with. I presently work with Toronto Children's Aid Society. Thank you.
Thank you, Varghese. Thank you, Varghese. Sauparnika?
Hi everyone, I'm Sauparnika Satishan. I'm doing DSW program in Fanshawe College. I'm still in Kerala waiting for my PPR.
Thank you, Sauparnika. Vinaya?
Sorry. Hi, I'm Vinaya. I'm also a person to plan to do IESW program. And I am now working as a direct support worker and a psychiatric group.
Thank you, Anita. Blasi?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tej. Happy to see you. I'm Blasi. I'm an alumni of IESW program. Currently, I'm working as a child protection worker at CAS Toronto. Thank you.
Anita?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tej. I'm Anita. I'm working in LifeWorks as a counselor. I did my IESW program in Ryerson. I'm here to see you, Tej, and all other members of MASO, and just to participate in the event. Thank you.
Thanks. Navina? Navina Rao?
Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning and good evening from India. I am currently working as a special educator, and I have completed my MSW in 2018 and seeking to move to Canada for future work. So my sister referred this course to me, and so I'm just here to figure out and seek more opportunities and learn so it becomes easier for me to move overseas. Thank you.
Thank you. Ants, can I please? You can. Or if anybody I have left. Okay, Tej, over to you.
So I'm glad that we got a chance to talk to each other, at least get a brief on who's in the room. I find it much better and much more easier to manage your expectations when I know who you are, even if briefly to see what you're doing. So we have a group of people who are already residing in Ontario for some time and hoping to take the program, to alumni who've already taken the program, to people who are in pre-arrival stage thinking of moving to Ontario, and an international student as well. So this is a very interesting group of people because usually I divide people in terms of pre-arrivals and international students and people residing in Ontario. However, I'll try to do my best. And if you have questions in the end, we can talk about it. Okay, I hope it doesn't freeze on me now. Nope, it didn't. So here we are. So this is about the program eligibility criteria. Because we are funded by the Ontario government, we really do have to follow what the government says. And the government says this because government is provincial and really wants to support people who are already residing in Ontario. They are Canadian citizens, permanent residents, refugee claimants, or convention refugees. Of course, it's important to have proficiency in the language as well because we are a language-based profession. Everything we do has to do with the primary language being spoken, which is English. It is important that people have at least an undergraduate or a graduate degree in social work or allied field. And the allied field is the part which gets really complicated. And I say this because none of the people in the room, it seems, are falling into this category. But if they are, that's a conversation you have with me. So for example, if you have a degree in psychology, in human rights, human counseling, and this is more for the information of MASO leaders as well, that if there are people who have this combination of degree, please encourage them to talk to me. Yet another, and I think, Varghese, thank you for reminding me that there are always things we do differently to remind you what those things are. And I will be talking about that as I go through my presentation. It is important that people have at least 1 year paid experience, either from overseas or from Canada. We'll accept both. So that's really about the eligibility. So Anto, you might be saying, oops, I'm not qualified. Don't worry, we'll get down to the nitty-gritty of who gets in and how at what point. And we'll talk about that. This is going to be the next step in your career, not the first step. In 2005, when we were funded, and we have been continuously funded since then, all the way till now 2024, one of the things I do want to openly state, because I'm talking to people who are my colleagues and graduates, that we are dependent on the government of Ontario to fund us. So the funding is not assured. So if you are on the fence in terms of taking the program, it might be a good idea to consider it while we know we are funded till 2024. That being said, our goal is not just to support internationally educated social workers. Our goal is also to prepare you for career mobility. Some of you who are our alumni in the room have talked about your first job and the next job. Anjali talked about it, Arun talked about it. So those are the kinds of experiences you need to remember that is our goal. We also do a whole lot of work with our other stakeholders, the Provincial Association, the regulatory body, the credential assessment body. And this is where I'm going to talk about something that is new. If you have a degree in at a master's level or a bachelor's level that's online, you are welcome to connect with the credential assessment body, Canadian Association of Social Workers. They may have a process and they may assess your degree. So this is something that you may want to explore. This is a snapshot of what we really do. We work with pre-arrivals, and I'm not going to touch upon each area, but just very broadly. And some of you are pre-arrivals. You could have easily written to my program assistant and got an individual appointment or be booked into an information session, quite like Mas was doing. But that is something that you do have an option to do. We also have IESWs residing in Ontario who can do not just our one-year-long certificate program, which a lot of you have done in this room, but also a non-credit course. Our work with employers is very well known. There is nobody in GTA who doesn't know us. And I say this with great confidence because we have about 384 employers in our network, and about 100 of them will come each year to support our team in terms of content improvement, in terms of guest speaks, placements, employment, and other equity and inclusion activities that we conduct. I did already talk about the regulatory work we do and the association, so I'm going to skip that one. But just to remind you that our work is obviously like any social workers, both at the individual and at the systemic level. How could you not do that? The engagement of our alumni is obvious in Massimo, but also in other ways. Our alumni come and do guest speakers. They become guest speakers, placement supervisors like Kusuma was talked about. She did become a placement supervisor at some point. So this is just in terms of reminding you that our alumni are part of our stakeholder group, have supported even the application for funding with the Government of Ontario. In terms of outcomes, 89% of our graduates get employed within a year of graduating. We are very aware of how well they do after that as well in terms of their career mobility. 82 of our graduates have completed either BSW, MSW, or PhD. Some of you might wonder, why are people doing BSW? These are the people who don't have a degree in social work or their degree did not get equivalency. But the advanced degrees that come at PhD level or MSW level is because they want to continue to improve. About 280 alumni have mentored new ISWs through a peer support initiative. This is one-on-one mentoring and coaching they have offered to support our work with the new internationally educated social workers. Alumni have become placement supervisors, they've advised us on EDI, and they have won awards. And these awards we do, if you are and have been awarded for something in your alumni, do let us know because we actually record that. Our employers have already talked about what they do, but just to give you a sample of what that looks like, about 200 of them have participated in creating equitable and inclusive workplaces. And 25 to 40 of them annually come and offer workshops, practice interview sessions, and site visits. We've been awarded twice, once by Ontario Association of Social Workers and once by Toronto Star Immigrant Champion Award, both for our individual and systemic work. This is a short course that I referred to earlier on. This is one of the interventions we have. It's only a 30-hour course, which is run over Saturdays, and it's Saturdays half days. At this time, because we are virtual, all our offerings are virtual, but as soon as the public health guidelines allow us to go back in person, the program team is very committed to going in person, mainly because the kind of work we do and the kind of client group we serve, it works best we are in person and we are supporting. Although I have to say that in the past 2 years, and Varghese, you are part of the group that did hybrid, half in person, half online, but mostly people who are doing online at this time, it's going well. And surprisingly so. If somebody had asked me pre-COVID that could we do this online, I would have said no. But I've also learned through this pandemic that yes, if you are nimble enough, you can continue to offer a quality program online as well. The short course that I'm referring to comes with a fee, and it also introduces, and this is where we need to remind ourselves, it's a breadth of learning that happens in this course where you learn theoretical frameworks that that govern the social services. You touch upon legislation, policies, and major areas of practice. And then what are the expectations of Canadian employers? What is the terminology? And look at what are the career opportunities. Some people just take the 30-hour course from us and off they go. And some people take the next one, which is the certificate in Canadian social work practice. I'm sure you guys are noticing that I'm not providing any dates, and that's because the dates are not available as yet. I'm in the process of forecasting, but I can give you timelines a little bit. So the short course will be offered in fall of 2022, which is around September or so. And it's around the same time that the certificate program will also begin. So this year they're going to be run almost concurrently. The certificate is a one-year program and it will start in July. Again, like I said, I don't have specific dates, but I'm giving you some sort of sense of timelines. The program itself is really broad. It does include profession-specific supports. It has credit courses, unpaid work experience placement, agency visits, and lots of social work skill building workshops and job search activities. That's the sort of breadth of the program. In more specifics, you're doing 4 terms with us: summer, fall, winter, and spring. And then the last one is winter, spring. So actually, I'm sorry, it's 5. You start with a language course, really to get into, and this isn't improving your English language, you already have that. And we do screen for strong language proficiency. However, this is to help you get into a new academic system and learn how to research, write in that context. So it's really building academic writing skills, academic reading skills. In the fall term, you're really doing theoretical work, as in looking at foundations of social work, all the theories of social work practice, and going into how do you develop your identity in social work practice. Again, it's an academic program, so you're looking at peer-reviewed articles and figuring out what you have done and how does that fit into Canadian social work. The winter term gets more in terms of practice, more stronger. That's where you're really learning legislations. You're learning how to do the practical pieces of work a social worker does. And you're learning about, again, the theoretical framework that can and should govern your practice here. The spring term is really looking at and critically at the social policy and how that social policy can include or exclude service users and service providers. And what is the framework within which we all as practitioners work. The last term is really about looking at your actual field practicum. This is when it all crystallizes. You've learned, you've been in the school for so long, and now is the time for you to practice. This is where you go into 3 days of practice in one of the agencies that we select. I want to spend a few minutes on the placement just because it's one of our special points. Everything else is special too, the whole structure is, but this is where it becomes very important to understand the difference between what other programs might be doing and what we might be doing. We are actually doing very individualized placements where we look at all kinds of strengths, skills, and holistically education experience you bring, and then matching you with placement sites that really make the most of it. Our goal, as you know, is employment, which is also your goal. So when we assume that goal, we really look at what do you need to be able to get employed post completion of our program. This requires you to go through, of course, entire course, many workshops, interview practice, and a number of other interventions before you actually get placed. The term after that is really when it becomes very individual. You're doing intensive job search sessions, often individual or sometimes in group. Sometimes you bring in speakers as well. I know this is a lot of information for people who are hearing it for the first time. It's kind of confusing, so don't worry about it. If you are curious, and I think Alan is going to put at the end an email that you can send to us at an email address, you can send an email and we will send you the entire packet so that you can look at it. If you have any lingering questions, absolutely, you can ask them. And again, there's a Q&A in the end as well, so that you can ask your questions. I'm just sort of pointing out to you that this is not a degree program, so that everybody's clear on this. This really has degree credit courses, which somebody can transfer into further education, and that's possible, and I can support you on understanding how that might happen. But really what you're doing is you're already professionals, you already have your undergrad, grad degrees, you already have experience, you're trying to get into Canadian social work practice by taking on a very specific intervention. It is part-time, you only come to class, it is saying Tuesdays and Fridays as this time, but again, this is to be confirmed. I'm basing it on this year when we ran our classes on Tuesday and Friday, and occasionally we'll ask you to come on additional days too. I've already talked about the placement selection process and schedule. This is because it's a degree credit placement, you actually are monitored in your placement, you're evaluated, and we also make sure that you are being successful in your placement and intervene if that's not the case. You do have to spend 25 to 30 hours per week on your studies. That is what my graduates have told me is what they're spending. Could be more if you are dealing with other additional barriers or other additional considerations such as families or not having sufficient proficiency or having other stresses that might be impeding your education. This is subject to change, but the fee is $6,400. It's payable in 4 installments. The program is OSAP eligible, and there are other community-based agencies from which you can also get loans to take the program. These loans are not your regular bank loans kind of thing, or they're not the line of credit. These are loans that you get from specific agencies that are allocated for newcomers. And really they work, some of them work in the model of newcomers supporting newcomers. So it's low interest rates and so on. Again, those details you get when you come into the program. The convocation is usually in fall. The unique features of the program are that we use what's called simulation-based learning. My graduates who are in this group would know what that means. We bring in actors into your classroom, and you're really the practitioner who's working with case scenarios and learning as a group and as individual too, but also receiving feedback. And this is a very safe environment where you get to learn and practice. The workplace communication aspect is very built in, and some of you won't even know that it's built in because it's part of the curriculum delivery itself. And the placements I've already highlighted are really matched. The practice interview and the intensive job search is so integrated right from the beginning because our goal is your employment. What we do is a ring of service. I always say it never ends for me, at least. People who have graduated year 1 are still in touch with me over something or another. And the team likes it like this way. And this is our philosophy, that we are building a community of internationally educated social workers. And MASO is an example of what we would like as an outcome, that at some point we're not funded, but you continue to support each other and help others who are coming in new to the country. So that's how we're building a community. And we don't consider ourselves as separate from you because we're part of you, and as you are a part of our delivery as well. How do you apply? You have to contact Anna Seguenza, assist me. Her email address is right on your screen, and for your convenience, Alan will be putting this on the chat as well. And there's a detail that I'm not even going into. All you have to do is send Anna an email if you decide to apply, and Anna will send you all of the other details. I'll talk about the screening process and timelines though. So this year I'm expecting that the screening process will have some built-in interviews and other processes. You do have to meet all the eligibility criteria, of course. And the timelines are going to be between April to June. We will be accepting applications and processing admissions. We hope to have our program start in July, and that will be starting with a profession-specific course and some orientation. I'm taking a pause here to highlight another thing. We have this year decided to do 2 streams of entry for our program. And this is to intentionally, and this is what we've learned from you, what would help you. We are trying to take people at the 1-year point for a 1-year program, starting with the profession-specific language, because we think that some people really need it. But we are also considering exempting some people from the language so that they can do a shorter 9-month program. We are piloting this year, and I'm seeing good results. So I'm convinced, as my team is, that we can possibly help people through both those interventions. So how do you know whether it's a 1-year program that's good for you or the 9-month? You wouldn't know that. When you apply, we'll be looking at you holistically and looking at what would it take for you to get employed. The team sits and looks at all the admission, both the admission criteria and the administration of the admission criteria and the application process. So we are a group of people who work and figure out what is it that would be in your best interest. And based on that, recommend whether it's the 1-year program or the 9-month program. So that's something new. And this is where I think, Verghese, it answers your question. The other new thing we are doing this year is actually a lot of, the city is talking about anti-Black racism as we have always talked about it and done lots of things about it. But there's a great degree of intentionality about it now. And we are doing a curriculum audit to make sure that our curriculum is relevant and is addressing anti-Black racism discourses as well. So that's something that's new to the program too. I think that's where I'm at. There are lots of questions. I'm in my presentation, I tried to answer and anticipate some of the questions you might have. And when I'm looking at them, I think I've responded to you by telling you about the certificate program, the length, the courses. I've also talked about the fee. I've talked about, other kinds of things. I haven't talked about, can I work during the certificate program? That's my question 5. It's very tricky. And the tricky is, yes, it is part-time, but we highly recommend that people don't work outside of the program if they can afford to. This doesn't mean that I'm unaware that some of you might have personal stressors and do really have to earn money to make your ends meet. I do understand it's an expensive city. So while I don't influence any of those things, but I do recommend that if possible, take it as a full-time program so that you can get the most out of it, especially because most of you have a degree in social work. You're coming in for a specific reason to get the most out of this program and get employed. What you receive after you complete the certificate program is actually a document. The convocation is very much like you would have in a BSW or MSW program, and the document itself reflects that, as does the ceremony, which is usually in fall. The application deadline has not been posted as yet. If you're not a member of our network, this is a listserv that we run for all internationally educated social workers. Please write at isw@ryerson.ca and ask to be added to the listserv to make sure that you say you are a social worker who's internationally educated. Only then you will get access to our listserv. But through this listserv, you'll find out our deadlines, you'll find out about other jobs that are coming out, any training opportunities, and so on. I've already talked about how you can apply. Anna would be the one who's going to coordinate the application process and will send you all the details. And then I'm not going to talk about 9 to 11 because this is really the eligibility criteria that I have already talked about. It's also available on our website. The number 12, sometimes people ask me, what language assessment should I provide? Would I be punitively looked at if I don't have sufficient proficiency? I always encourage you to send me a whole U so that I can look at IELTS, CLB, any other language assessments you've done, any courses you have taken in Canada already, because we are big on prior learning. We are big on learning through many mechanisms. So we do assess you holistically. So feel free to send some of this information if you're worried about your language assessments, that they're not good enough. Send a quick email to Anna so that at least we get alerted and we figure out what is it that we can do to support you. I'm also asked quite frequently, why are the language requirements so rigorous? The answer to that is very straightforward. It is because what we are doing is language-based, whether we are reading, writing, listening, speaking. In our workplace, we are actually presenting, we're dealing with people who already have significant barriers, people who are marginalized, and often we are their voices, or we are supporting them. In those roles, it's particularly important as we document cases, we present in our case conferences, that we really do have the language that is supporting the work we do. And language is our tool. I've already talked about financial assistance. Well, and when I say talk, I've touched upon it, but there are also awards and bursaries that you can apply for. I think I've covered all my bases. I've said what I wanted to say. And if there's any room here for the next person to take over Q&A facilitation, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tej, for the excellent presentation. I hope all get an idea about IESW bridging program. So if you have any question for Tej, please add them into the chat box. We will be able to answer them during the Q&A session at the end. Let's move to the next session that we have experience sharing by Needu Babu. Needu Babu is a registered social worker and she also completed IESW bridging program in June 2020. Now she is working as a child protection worker at Toronto Children Aid Society. I request Needu to share her experience. Over to you, Needu.
Thank you, Anjali. Can you hear me clearly? Just want to double check.
Yeah, we can.
Perfect, thanks. Hi, everyone. I see many familiar faces here. Of course, they were my classmates. I'm sure that I'm going to share in this meeting will be, they can be relate, and the people who already done the program, they also can relate the experience that I'm going to share in this meeting. So, and thank you, Maso, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my experience with the IESW program. I'm delighted, especially in the presence of Tej. So when I was given this topic, I was thinking from where should I start? Then I thought I should be giving you a quick intro into my background. Hope that would be helpful for you. I have done my master's of social work from Kerala, India. And I had worked as a social worker for 7 years, out of which my majority of the experience was in government school as a school social worker. Then I did my equivalency from India and landed here in Canada in 2016 as a permanent resident. And essentially started to looking for social work roles without having done any social work bridging programs in Canada and a driving license. That's an important factor too. So during my initial 3 months from landing, I never landed a social work role. So during my job search, I had done several survival jobs. I had taken my resume to many counselors who had helped me to brush up my resume, and I started applying for social work job again with my updated resume. It took me another 3 months of constant job search to land me a social work job interview finally. Let me tell you something about that experience. So there were about 3 people in the interview panel, and it was an intensive interview. There were written tasks and verbal interview as well. And they had drilled me with social work jargons and terminologies that are most commonly used within Canadian social work context. Unfortunately, which I was not familiar with, and obviously I never landed in that role. And those times I used to attend our community cultural events as well during the pre-pandemic period. And I got an opportunity to interact with many social workers who were from back home, from same community, who mentioned that it would be a good idea to pursue a social work bridging program. But I was hesitant to pursue and spend more money into that program when I already spent enough money and got my MSW from back home. 2 years went by on survival jobs. It was in 2018, I delivered my first child, and job hunting was still going on. I still didn't land any social work job. Having waited this long, was unsuccessful in landing any more job interviews. Then I thought of exploring potential bridging programs. I came across the IESW program when I did a Google search for social work bridging programs in Canada. When I researched the IESW program, I was surprised to learn from past IESW alumni that they also came to Canada with an MSW and did this program and was successful in landing a social work job right away. And I connected with Tej to clarify if this program was appropriate for me and about the future job prospects that this program would potentially open up for me. And the meeting was very beneficial for me, and Tej cleared all of my doubts regarding the program. And later, I learned that when we compared to other university programs, the cost of IESW program was much more economical. The curriculum was great, and I couldn't find other programs that would offer the same value as the IESW program. That's completely my personal opinion. And which led me to trust in this program, and I decided to sign up for the program in the year 2019. And now let me share my experience specifically on the IESW program. The program was a 1-year intensive program encompassing of lots of assignments, readings, presentations, group work, exams, and agency visits, of course. And one of the key takeaways that I think had added value for me from this program is the opportunity to familiarize with certain theories, approaches, terminologies that are being used in the Canadian social work context. For example, some terms like anti-oppressive practice, anti-Black racism, intersectionality of oppression, social location, etc. So the professors, and I think, the employers are, when we do kind of interview at an interview, the employers are eagerly looking forward to hear those words. That's what I feel. The professors of the program are highly qualified, they are supportive, and they are always available to answer our questions. They made sure that each one of us was grasping the learning material well enough to be fit and ready for the job market. And I would like to tell you some of the couple of important highlights about this program that would be helpful for you as well. First is case simulation, which is a mock client versus social worker interaction simulation exercise, where students will face actors who pose themselves as clients. They are trained actors, and they came to our classroom, they sat in front of us, and they acted as clients who experienced diverse problems. And sometimes they cried, they shouted, they screamed, they left the room. At many point of time, I was confused. Oh my God, what question should I ask? It was in front of our classroom, right? Our classmates and teacher were present at that time. And initially, I was nervous, but most of my classmates were nervous, of course. And then I realized that we are learning from that session. And it was a great platform to observe clients who are from diverse backgrounds and observe our classmates, how they frame questions. And it was a great platform from brainstorming as well. So that was a wonderful, wonderful thing. One of the important highlights of this program. Second, there is a session on resume and cover letter editing and reviewing. Our placement coordinator was Ellen. She was amazing. And I would say she had taken a detailed effort in focusing our energy on highlighting key points in our resume that would help us stand out to the potential employer. Third, obviously, placement, internship. Again, Ellen played a great role here in finding us placement that closely matches with our interest and past social work experience. Also, there was flexibility to seek a placement that was of specific interest. I did my placement at Yorktown Family Services, which is definitely an added asset to my resume. I think that had led me to the social work role that I'm currently in, with child protection worker role. And next, fourth is job interview training. That's also very interesting factor in which real recruiters from social work organizations, they would do mock interview for us. And they also provide feedback for us. I still remember during my mock interview, I was provided a feedback stating that I should use the word hopeless within the suicide context. So, all of the feedbacks they provided were amazing and very useful and informative. Fifth thing is students, and of course, diversity. We students from different culture, different backgrounds, different country. It was really grateful opportunity to interact, to understand about different culture and the way their perspective, and kind of lots of brainstorming happened in that classroom. Sixth, but not the least, the support from the program, staff, the program offer, but the course that never ends. It's ongoing support, which I found was much needed for us. As a lot of us go through cultural shock of the Canadian way doing things. After the program, when I was getting ready to apply for social work jobs, I sent my resume and cover letter to Ellen. Ellen edited my resume cover letter to align with the job description that I was applying for. Her assistance had helped me to secure my first job in the Ontario Ministry of Health, which was a contract position. The other thing that I was really impressed of was she took the time to track and follow up with me to find out the status of my contract and if she can offer any further assistance. I was really impressed of that. So what I feel that's a kind of very sincere commitment that I could see in that relationship. Another big turning point in my career came when I learned about MASO group from one of my classmates from the IESW program. He has also joined in this program, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy, for introducing us to the MASO. And since the team I had joined MASO, the help that I received to further my career prospect was immense, I would say. My current child protection worker job that I'm in right now was due to the extensive mentorship that I had received from MASO, I would say. I wished if I had known about MASO the very first day that I landed in Canada, I would have learned about the IESW program and I would have already settled with a social work job entering future candidates. Right, so yeah, these are my experience. I think it's a time to conclude. I hope that this program would be beneficial to all those who are looking forward to pursue IESW program for IRC University the same way how it was beneficial for me. Yeah, this is all the very best. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marcel. Thank you, Tej.
Thank you, Neetu. That's a really great experience sharing. So it took me back to my days when I was an ISW graduate. It's a great experience for me as well, especially in simulation, case note, field work. So I'm really glad that to be part of this unique program. So I hope all other participants will be impressed in future. All the best for those who are planning to join this program. So I think we are moving to our final session. That is a Q&A session. So I think we have